Hello everybody, welcome to the teaching channel. My name is Anthony Martinez, and today we're going to be doing a short presentation on the 5 different learning outcomes, course learning outcomes, shortened by the acronym CLO, so the 5 CLOs. And the first CLO is a very important CLO, course learning outcome, and it has to do with building relationships with students. And I think that's a very foundational piece in any kind of education arena. Teaching arena is relationships with the students and relationships with the teacher and the classroom environment. Very important. And so the first course learning outcome is the teacher uses background information about students to foster a positive interaction with them, their parents, and their larger community. So that is course learning outcome number 1. And so for me, in my teaching experience, I teach in my hometown in Stockton, California, and I grew up in Stockton, and I'm very familiar with the city and with all the surrounding parks and schools. And I like to mention this at back to school night. That way the community kind of knows that I'm familiar with the community, I'm familiar with the area, and it's something that I really enjoy. I enjoy teaching and being a part of the community that I grew up in as a small kid, and so something that I do to kind of engage with students is I like to talk about their culture, and I like to ask them what their culture is about, and if they speak different languages, and I share about my own culture and my own experiences going to the Philippines and going to Mexico, and trying to learn these different languages, and really being excited to do these different events and parties, and it's a great conversation piece that a teacher can have with students. It's a great icebreaker at the beginning of the year to ask students about their culture, and getting to know somebody and building a relationship, no matter who it is. I think culture is a really important piece of getting to know somebody, and it's a great way to kind of build a bridge between two people. And so that is course learning outcome number 1. And CLO number 2 is implement strategies, procedures, and norms that establish positive supports for classroom work and discourse, foster social emotional development, and promote individual responsibility for student learning. And that is course learning outcome number 2. And something that I do with my teaching here in high school, I'm a high school math teacher, is I'm big on continuity and rhythm. So I like to keep a lot of the things generally the same. So generally we'll do like a warm-up, and then we'll do a lesson, then an exit ticket. That's kind of the general overview, but the warm-up you would usually look different. Sometimes the warm-up is they're working on individual whiteboards with maybe a couple of shares a whiteboard, or sometimes they work in groups with whiteboards. Sometimes they're working with a pair or a group, or just by themselves at their desk, and that usually is our warm-up. For the lesson, I like to bring in different kind of visuals, hands-on examples. I allow the students to work with flashcards, and I like to have them read over their worksheets and to explain it to their partners or explain it to their groups, and take turns doing that, explaining what they know, and kind of teaching a classmate that doesn't understand the material, and kind of helping each other out in a community type way. And that usually will be our lesson, and then we'll usually finish with an exit ticket, which is any closing questions. And I like to let this be kind of an open time for students to ask questions with the whole class. Any comments about what they learned, any comments about any of the things that they were doing, and at the same time, sometimes I'll even do as an exit ticket is some closing problems, and some closing math problems, and maybe for the whole class to see if we can get them, and some additional problems to make sure that everybody's on the same page. The third course learning outcome is design standards-based lessons with clear learning goals and assess their progress. And from my experience as a teacher, I am learning more and more about becoming familiar with the content standards here in California. And I like knowing the standards because when you know the standard, you know exactly what the goal is, what the aim is. And when you know exactly what the aim is, you're more likely to hit that goal, hit that aim. Whereas if you don't know the goal, then you're kind of just out searching and just you're not really sure where you're going. But if you have the clear content standard goal, the aim of where you want to go or where you want to take the class, you're more likely to get there. And for example, recently we were going over domain and range, and the goal for the students was to understand that the domain values are the x values and the range values are the y values, and to understand how to interpret, how to find domain and range using graphs and using a set of points. And that was the goal, and I believe that we were able to accomplish that goal recently. And something that I kind of brought in that I thought was kind of a fun idea was for the students to work with a partner or work with two partners, or kind of, I was flexible on that, and to come up with their own graph and to design a line or a circle or any kind of shape on a graph, and to interpret and to tell the class the domain and range of their shape that they made on their graph. And I thought that was great, and I thought that was a great way of making it clear that they were able to reach the standard goal for that lesson. And that is content, that is CLO number 3. And course learning outcome number 4 is design lessons that are simultaneously build content knowledge and support academic language acquisition for all students. And teachers that are wanting to deliver great lessons, do great jobs, have great days, I think that this is a common goal that a lot of these teachers would want to have, is to incorporate the vocabulary into the lessons, incorporate these things to where these students are not just learning the material, but they're learning the how and the why and those sorts of things. And you can bring in different types of activities and like flashcards, and if you're doing a lesson on solving equations, make sure that the students are understanding what a variable is. Variable is the letter in the equation. Inverse operation. So if you want to have a flashcard with plus on one side, how do you undo a plus and you flip it over? It's a minus sign. And just making sure you really get those vocabulary words down along with the lesson. And the 5th and final CLO is reflect on one's own teaching and that of colleagues to increase understanding of the complexity of learning. And I believe I've grown in my understanding of the complexity of learning, and I've seen a lot of my colleagues' growth as well. And students are at different stages and different levels of understanding, and I have to know how to navigate the different students' level of knowledge and being able to teach that is conclusive to the many different levels of knowledge and the many different ways of learning that these students are adjusted to. And just be ready for all students.